Okay, let's talk about AI. You've probably heard the debate, right? It's either this world-changing revolution, or it's just a bunch of overhyped party tricks. The arguments get pretty loud, with some really common critiques flying around. So in this explainer, we're going to cut through all that noise and just look at the facts.
So, here's one of the biggest knocks against it, right? People say, okay, for all the hype, is AI actually useless where it really matters? You know, in the big stuff, like medicine or keeping the global economy running.
And then you get the flip side of that argument. The idea that, okay, maybe it's failing at the serious stuff, but it's a little too good at pumping out images and text, and in the process, it's what? Killing art, devaluing human creativity? So are these claims actually true? Well, let's find out.
Okay, so Section 1. Let's break down this common critique.
So let's move on to Section 2, breakthroughs in medicine. We're going to start where the stakes are, about as high as they can get. Is AI really falling short here? Well, the evidence we have, it tells a very, very different story.
Okay, so first, let's look at a problem that has been a huge biological mystery for 50 years. It's called the protein folding problem. See, to understand pretty much anything about how our bodies work, from fighting off a cold to building muscle, you've got to know the 3D shape of proteins. But figuring out that shape, well, that was a puzzle that stumped the smartest scientists on the planet for decades.
I mean, think about that. 50 years. This was one of the grand challenges of biology, and it wasn't easy. Figuring out the structure of just one protein could take a scientist years and years of super tedious lab work.
And then an AI called AlphaFold showed up. And in like a shockingly short amount of time, it didn't just solve the problem, it blew it wide open. It mapped the structures of over 200 million proteins. And the best part? It made them totally public, so any scientist anywhere can use them.
And get this, that number includes 98.5%, practically every single protein in the human body. I mean, this isn't just a small step forward, it's a giant leap. It has completely changed the game for biology. It's speeding up research on everything from designing new vaccines to even creating enzymes that can eat plastic waste. It's huge.
So, okay, that's incredible science, but what does it mean for real-world medicine? Well, just look at these numbers. This is where it gets really interesting. We're talking about drug discovery. Traditionally, it takes over 10 years and costs more than $2 billion. And even then, more than 90% of them fail. But with AI, we're slashing development time down to just a couple of years. The cost can be up to 70% less, and look at that failure rate. It plummets. That means more life-saving drugs actually get to the people who need them, faster.
And hey, this isn't just some theory on a slide. Let's look at a real case, the discovery of halicin. We have this massive crisis with drug-resistant bacteria, superbugs. So, researchers pointed an AI at a database of over 100 million molecules. And in just a few days, it found a compound that turned out to be, and I'm quoting the researchers here, one of the most powerful antibiotics ever discovered.
It's not just about finding new drugs either. It's also about finding diseases earlier. Take breast cancer screening. AI is now acting like a second pair of expert eyes for radiologists, and the results are pretty amazing. It's leading to almost 6% fewer false alarms, which means less stress for patients. And, even more importantly, it's catching nearly 10% more cancers that might have been missed. That right there, that's saving lives.
Okay, so clearly AI is making huge waves in the lab. But what about out in the real world, like the nuts and bolts of our economy? Well, let's pivot to Section 3 and talk about the global supply chain.
You ever wonder how that package you ordered shows up on your doorstep so ridiculously fast? It's not magic, it's AI. Before you even click buy, an AI is predicting what your neighborhood is going to want. It's positioning that stuff in a warehouse nearby. Then, when you order, it calculates the absolute fastest route for the driver, and even picks the smallest possible box to save space on the truck. It's a whole symphony of optimization.
And the result of all that smart planning? It's staggering. In just 1 year, Amazon saved $1.6 billion on logistics. Billion with a B. And on top of that, it cut 1 million tons of carbon emissions. That's a massive win for both the business and the planet.
Now, let's zoom in a bit and go inside a logistics hub, like one from DHL. For years and years, the job was pretty much the same. A person standing at a conveyor belt, grabbing packages, reading labels, and sorting them by hand. It's repetitive, it's exhausting work.
Well, enter the DHL bot. It's basically an AI-powered robotic arm that does that exact same job. Except, it can sort over 1,000 packages an hour. And it never gets tired, it never needs a coffee break.
And maybe the most important part? It does it all with 99% accuracy. That's huge because it means way fewer packages ending up in the wrong city. That saves money, it saves fuel, and it means your stuff actually shows up when it's supposed to. This isn't hype. This is a real, practical breakthrough that's happening right now.
All right, so the evidence seems pretty solid that AI is genuinely useful in science and logistics. But what about that other big critique we talked about at the beginning? Is AI a new creative tool, or is it something else? Let's dive into that in Section 4.
You know, this fear, it might sound kind of familiar. Back in the 19th century, when the camera was invented, painters freaked out. They thought, that's it, we're obsolete. But what actually happened? Well, photography became its own art form, and it pushed painters to invent totally new styles, like Impressionism. History shows us over and over again, new tech doesn't usually kill art, it just changes the game.
And that seems to be exactly what's happening now. A lot of artists aren't seeing AI as a replacement, but as a new kind of creative partner. Think about it. An architect can spitball dozens of building designs in minutes instead of weeks. A musician can generate a unique beat to get their creativity flowing. It's a tool for trying out new ideas super fast, and it also lets people who maybe can't draw or paint bring their visual ideas to life. It opens things up.
Now, let's be real. This isn't all sunshine and roses. There are definitely some serious challenges. A machine doesn't have feelings or life experience. And there are huge, complicated questions about copyright and who owns what. Plus, the economic impact on creative professionals, that's a very real concern that we absolutely have to figure out. So, after looking at all this, from the biology lab to the global supply chain to the artist's studio, where do we land? What's the final verdict?
Well, the verdict seems pretty clear. The claim that AI is useless in important fields? Based on the evidence, that's just not true. It's delivering genuinely revolutionary results. And the idea that it's killing art? Well, while there are real challenges, it looks a lot more like a new transformative tool, like a new kind of paintbrush than some kind of replacement for human creativity.
Look, the tool is here, and it's an incredibly powerful one. Just like the printing press or the computer, what really matters isn't the technology itself, but what we do with it. So the real question isn't whether AI is useful or not. The real question is, what are we going to create with it?